Boy, have we got an episode for you today.
The Tasmanian Devil himself, Rob Moore, the Disruptive Entrepreneur. Hi, everybody. Today we've got Rob Moore joining us on the Let's Talk Dog Business podcast. And it's a bit of a big moment for us because it's actually your studio that we're in.
We are.
And we get to use it and interview you. So it's even better.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
And me. So for everybody who doesn't know you,
You're not going to make me do my own intro, are you?
I am going to get you to do a little bit more because you are known as a bit disruptive, which is exactly what you've just done, which is amazing. So for us lowly dog folks out there that have no idea about the wider business world, which is the whole purpose of this podcast, tell them a little bit about you.
Well, they call me the Disruptive Entrepreneur. And 18 years ago, I started my first real business. I'd tried a couple of side hustles that kind of did okay, but really I was in a lot of debt and stuck in the system. And on December the 15th, 2005, my dad had a nervous breakdown in his pub. I was working in his pub. I'd gone to uni, got a degree in architecture, was really lost. Didn't really think I wanted to do anything with it, but didn't know any different. I'd racked up a load of debt from university. So mum said to me, Dad's not very well. Maybe you can come back and do, work in the pub for 3 to 6 months to figure out what you want to do. And I was ended up there 3 or 4 years and even more lost and even more in debt. And then, my dad, he just worked so hard his whole life. He had a hard upbringing. On December the 15th, 2005, his birthday, in his pub in front of all of his customers, he just had a huge nervous breakdown, and the police were called out. They beat him up. They arrested him. He got sectioned. They wouldn't let us see him for months. He just turned. And they diagnosed him with bipolar, manic depression. And this was 18-ish years ago. And then I'd always wanted to be entrepreneurial. I was not very good with authority. Probably because, my dad was quite authoritarian. So I was always a bit of a rebel. But I didn't know what to do and I was broke and lost. And the great upside, the great gift that day gave me was it forced me to do something with my life, because really for me, it couldn't have got any worse. I pretty much would have gone bust within a couple of few weeks probably. So I went to this property networking event because everyone was getting into property and you're supposed to get into property. And I met my business partner, Mark, there the first time I went. So there's 18 years in between, but I paid off my 50 grand's worth of debt in the first year and earned probably nearly 100 grand, which is like never done anything like that in a year. And then we set up our own business the year after that. We bought 20 properties together. We sold some and kept some in that first year. And now we have the biggest property training business in the UK called Progressive Property. And I became a millionaire age 31 and decamillionaire age 35. I'm now 21, so I'm 45 now. And I've written 19, I think, books. Yeah, 19. Well, I'm writing 5 at the moment, but 19 have been published. The last one was Money Matrix. I've got my Disruptors podcast, which has done over 1,000 episodes. It's one of the top podcasts in the world. And I've done some other cool stuff like I have my foundation, which I think we're probably now nearly at 7 figures we've raised for charity over the years. And I retired my mum and dad very young for me, when they had trouble retiring themselves. That was a proud moment for me. And now you're in my studio.
We are in your studio.
To the top of the CV. And that's the short version. Yeah.
No, I love that. And you don't realize, do you, until you actually start speaking to people, just how much, I don't know, like adversity, if that's the right word, that everybody goes through before they even get into doing something that they absolutely love. And it's one thing that I really wanted to lean in on talking to you about today, because
those words, lean in, they make me scared. This is going to be a double therapy session, isn't it? I can see the way you're both looking at me. I'm going to be crying in 10 minutes.
Oh my God. Wow. It'll just...
I'll go Steve Bartlett next week, crying to him. Yeah.
We do have a habit of making our clients cry. So you never know.
You never know. But no, actually, even if we make some listeners cry, I think it is important because we say it time and time again, but the state of the dog professional industry at the moment, we feel is at like this turning point where it is just, we've had people describe it as just utter shambles. People are burning out left, right and center. There is so much pressure on people, as I don't even genuinely think dog trainers specifically see themselves as entrepreneurs. They're doing a hobby that they love and burning themselves into the ground doing the thing that they love the most. And it's, I don't know, it's really soul destroying to see, isn't it? Yeah. And you see it everywhere where, I don't know, like they can't find that one thing to hold on to and grasp on to go, right, if I just had that one thing, what's going to help me get out of the state that I'm in? So to go from where you were to where you are now, and I appreciate that there's not going to be one like pivotal moment, but I don't know, I imagine meeting Mark in that was one of those moments because it opened up that new business for you. But I don't know, like what, I suppose, could you share with the audience to say, we kind of hear where you're at now and move you on to the next stage?
I'm going to read into what you said. So I'd probably give an answer that would be different to if I was on some hardcore, practical, tactical business show. So currently I don't have any children being blown up in Ukraine. Currently I don't have any children being human trafficked. Currently I have my arms and my legs and my critical faculties. I've still got quite a sharp brain for a 45-year-old. And that's the shit I remember if I'm struggling a bit. Because I think what we do is we take our problems out of context. Now, the reason I say this is because what you've said you think is happening in the dog industry, which you would know more than me, is happening in the fucking world. Like in the UK, lockdown changed everything. And our business, I just had a senior team meeting and I said to them all, this is the hardest it's been. 2020 and 2024 are the hardest it's been in business in 18 years. It is. And we're still doing well, but it's hard. And, you know, the proud male of me doesn't want to say that, but it's true and it's not marketing. So I don't think anyone in your industry is on their own. I don't think it's just your industry. I think it's the political landscape seems an absolute mess. I don't think people seem to care as much anymore. Politicians don't seem to care. And the world has changed. But if we were 20 years old, let's say, I'm married to you both because we're a bit more modern than normal, and it's the 1910s, then I'm fighting at war and you have to let me go and I probably die. And then you finally find another husband 5 or 10 years later and then he has to go and fight the Second World War. Like sometimes we really forget how easy we've got it because we don't have context. Now, by the way, let's be clear. This is not me saying that individuals or listening or watching do not have problems and those problems aren't real. But that's what I do to get through hard times because you've actually caught me at a time where business is hard for me. But I also love the challenge. And I remember that I love what I do. And it's harder and more draining and more challenging and more things seem to go wrong. But my friend Mark Ormrod doesn't have his arms and legs because they got blown off while he was out serving. And there are people who are going through wars in other countries and their children get blown up. And that actually really helps me. It helps because what we do is we go, oh, my problem, my life. And we get inside it and we can make it bigger than it is because we haven't got wider context. I imagine if we all went to, you know, the war for a year in Europe, then we would come back very, very grateful. So that helps me transcend my challenges. So one of my mentors says to me, if you had anyone else's life or problems, you'd want yours back. And what he said was being grateful isn't just being happy when it's good, because anyone can do that. Being grateful is being grateful for your problems and your challenges as well as what's good. Because just being happy when it's good isn't gratitude, that's happiness. But the problem with being happy when it's good is it means you're unhappy when it's bad. I can honestly say this, I am very grateful for my problems. I had a fairly big fucking emergency kickoff this morning. I've had emergencies all weekend, and it feels like we've had emergencies since 2020. I don't want anyone else's emergencies. I want mine, because I have a really great life and I'm very lucky. So that would be my answer.
I like it. I like it. You've got like a pondering face on.
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering, at what did one day you turn around and you just were able to look at it like that? Or...
No, there wasn't a Old Spice, cue the music, da, 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 epiphany. Because that kind of story of, December the 15th, 2005, Rob's had a nervous breakdown and he had an awakening. It was more progressive than that. I beat myself up for weeks, if not months. In fact, I still beat myself up now about all the things I should be doing and I'm not doing, even though I'm doing a lot. It was a progressive journey of investing in myself to learn personal development, to learn how to solve problems, to learn how to transcend challenges. It's a progressive, ongoing thing. And one of the things I learned from another mentor is new level, new devil. So what he means by that is you solve this problem, your reward is the next one. As soon as because what we do humanly, because it's natural, we go, if I could just get rid of that problem, life will be sweet. Life is never sweet, because if life is sweet, you are comfortable. And if you are comfortable, you're not doing much. And if you're not doing much, you're not that useful to society. So you have to be disrupted by challenge to grow, because we're more useful to humanity when we grow. So your reward for solving a problem is that if you really got the lesson, you've transcended that problem. Here's the next one. So it's like levels in a computer game. I said this at my event and people sort of chuckled, but I said, did you ever play a computer game and get stuck at a level? And they were like, oh yeah, of course, we got stuck on a level forever. And I said, did you just throw the controller out the window, or did you keep fricking playing until you got through that level? And they're like, yeah, I lost a whole week of my life trying to complete this bloody level, trying it 1,000 times. All right, then as soon as you completed the level, do you know how to complete the level every single time now? And they're like, yeah. And I think that's an analogy for life. But most people just quit when they have one try. And the problem is, if you quit when you have one try at completing the level, you just start a new game, but you go back to level 1. You're better off staying in level 7 and trying to just get through to level 8 than to going, this is too hard. I'll go back and I'll do a new game, and they go back to level 1. Because everyone in your business, probably more than mine, did it because they love it. So that's loving your business is a choice. And so if people are burning out in your industry, it's because they've forgotten to choose that they love it.
Oh, I love that. And I couldn't agree with you more, because that they're going in and it's all for this reason of that. We love dogs. We want to help dogs. We want to do all this stuff for dogs. And we end up in this situation where, we're choosing not to love. We're choosing to love a part of it. And we're choosing to love the element that
That's
actually...
not love. Well, and not sorry to jump in,
No.
but I'm not sorry.
Go.
And we're in my building, so if you have a problem, you'll have to walk out, not
Charmed.
me.
Yeah, sorry. Podcast cancelled. Off we go.
Love is not picking your favourite parts. This was a brutal lesson from another one of my mentors. Love is accepting the whole. One thing I learned about love in a partnership relationship, with an intimate partner, love is when you love the parts you think you don't love, as well as loving the parts that you think you do. That's what love is. Excitement is, I like those bits and I like doing this today and I hate doing that. That's excitement. But the problem is, as soon as you go into excitement, you then have to go into the polar opposite, depression. One of my mentors says that no emotion comes without a cost. So the more you're expecting a fantasy, the more you're going to go into a depression as a swing reaction. So love is all parts. And if you really do love dogs and love animals and love the industry, then you love the parts you think you don't love as well. Otherwise, you don't really love it. You just love the best parts. No one gets to be in a relationship. No one gets to have children and just love the best parts. Because fundamentally, a dad as well, but a mum loves everything about her children, not just the good parts. If we take life like that, we're not going to quit, because you don't quit on your kids. And you're always going to be able to like, I had a shit day yesterday. It wasn't shit. It was progress, but it was painful progress. So what was shit about it was how I felt. But all through the day, I was like, tomorrow's another day. I'm excited for tomorrow, even though I'm not feeling good today. And you get tens of thousands of goes at another day.
It's powerful, isn't it? And for me, like a lot of the things that we're seeing and that you feel yourself, it's just become like really trivial. It's like we're moaning and bitching about all of these things that we actually have the power to control how we feel about them, but we're choosing to stay in that negative mindset. Like there's so many limiting beliefs we hear people saying all the time and going like, oh, people aren't just going to pay for that. Of course they're not. Why? Like that's you devaluing yourself. That means you've got no confidence in yourself.
Yeah, you chose that.
Yeah.
You chose to decide that people can't pay for your services, or you can't increase your prices because the economy isn't good. What was it Henry Ford said? If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Nothing, like I always tell people with prices, you think not putting your prices up stops good customers or customers leaving. But actually keeping your prices where they are stop good customers coming in. Because you're not going to sell me a £50 watch, but you could sell me a 50 grand watch because that's me. So you want better quality customers, increase your prices. If you have a good service, the only people you'll lose if you increase your prices are the people you actually want to lose anyway.
Yeah, we say it all the time. Yeah, and interestingly, actually, so obviously you are quite a wealthy person.
No, I'm not. I'm a very wealthy person.
Very wealthy, all right. Speak ego.
Fuck you money, they call it. You can beat me out if you want, but yeah.
It's true. Okay, fine. So with your fuck you money then, because you've just recently lost your dog, haven't you?
Yes, you heard.
I did.
Yeah, Ralph. He was 16 and we had to put him to sleep a few weeks ago. Yeah, he'd been with us the whole journey of our business. He was our office mascot when we started the company, and he was the 30th birthday present that I bought for my wife. Yeah, so it's never nice.
No, it's not at all.
He was an annoying fucker though. So another one of my mentors said there's upsides to everything. He also said to me, there's no loss in death, which I've still got to get my head around that part. But, when my dog got old, he got deaf and blind. He just hung around under my wife's feet all the time. She even said a couple of times, I wish he would just die. I said, be careful what you wish for. And his quality of life wasn't great the last couple of years, and he became a bit annoying. So it was lovely to have him, but the time was right for him. Yeah.
Oh, no, it's horrible when they go, isn't it? Really horrible. But
it is, but it was actually really peaceful. Because Gemma held him. He's a Westie, so I mean, if it was a huge dog, that would have not been nice, I don't think. But she sort of held him, and they tried to put some of the, I guess anaesthetic, I'll use that word, in, but they couldn't get it in. His vein had sort of shut out. But I think she got a bit in, so he got very sleepy, and that was quite good because he was all agitated before, so he was already very sleepy. And then when he passed away, you did nothing. You just didn't even notice. It was just done. Yeah.
Like a bit bittersweet, isn't it, really?
Yeah. I think that's, yeah. Yeah, my wife had said to me a few weeks ago, do you know what? I don't know if I've ever seen you cry. She did then. Yeah. I've spoken to other men and we all say the same thing. We say it shouldn't hurt as much as it does because they're not a person, but it does. They all say the same thing.
Yeah. We have this thing about this industry of, we've already mentioned it. In our industry, it's hard. And like you've already said, there's a lot of industries which are similar. But one thing we talk about is the emotional burden that comes with, because it's an animal, and because it makes men cry, and because you are then taking on the emotional burdens of the owners and their feelings towards the dogs and their way of dealing with the issues they've got and that kind of thing. That's something that we find is a real struggle in this industry. So I guess people tend to use that, I think, sometimes as a bit of a reason to make it all harder for them. And going back to what you were saying earlier, I hope that people listening to that will realise that, yes, it's a problem. And yes, we probably have that where other industries don't necessarily have it. But you can get through it. And our mission is to support the professionals with this, because we feel like there is something missing there and we don't get the help. They don't get the help that they often deserve. But I think with your kind of the way you think about it is, we can get out of this, problem. We can get out of this struggle. And there are other problems in the world that are much worse than that.
Well, because I'm outside, I might be able to get some perspective. It feels quite warm in here. We don't know if it's -2 or +26 out there. We just assume. So when you're in something, you can only feel being in it. You can't get context. So I can give you context. I own multiple businesses. No businesses are necessarily any easier or harder than any other business. They have their own sets of upsides and downsides. In the industry I'm in, education, training, but not in the school system education, people teach property, people teach trading, people teach public speaking, blah, blah. And they all say, oh, well, it's easier for you teaching property because everyone wants to get into property. Oh, it's easier for you teaching trading because that's just easy. You're just selling. And everyone looks at everyone else going, why it's easy or easier. It's not, it's just different. So if anyone in this industry or any industry is looking at their industry going, it's hard because you're only seeing the downsides. Because everything you said about it being hard, you take on the emotion of the animal and the owners, that has an equal upside. That probably creates, I imagine in your industry, when you're good, you have a client for life. Whereas in some industries, it's transactional and you just buy once and you have to find a new client every time. So if everyone is thinking, oh, this is what's hard about my industry, it's hard for everyone else. Therefore, when you see it as a positive and you turn it into an upside, then you have the competitive advantage. I absolutely have the attitude right now, business is hard for most people, therefore this is really good. Because if business was easy for everyone, I'd have 10 times the competition. But because it's hard, they're all dropping like flies. But it can't be hard for them and easy for me. I don't get to choose. It's hard for everyone. So I'm going to make sure that I see this as an upside while everyone else is going bust or closing their businesses down or whatever, not me. Because what would I rather have? Would I rather it's easy but easier for everyone else, or harder but harder for everyone else? Honestly, harder. One, because I know I thrive in a challenge. And two, when it's easy, anyone can do it. But when it's hard, there's only the few that can do it. And I'm one of those stubborn fuckers that I will not quit unless I die. And that is me. So it is hard, and I have sleepless nights right now. We've still got over 100 staff. Hardly let any of them go with what happened in lockdown. I was well within my rights to keep 10 and let 90 go. And I have personally suffered and struggled to keep everyone in a job and stay profitable. And I've got shareholders and people on my back going, where's the good old days? They're gone, but the shareholders don't care. They just want the good old days back. And I take on all that responsibility, and it's painful. And then I look in the mirror, sometimes naked, and I go, I'm fucking made for this shit. No one else is made for this shit. That's why I've been doing it 18 years. That's why I'm going to do it another 40 years. That's really exciting. And it's just it's just a state of mind. So I'm not a victim. I am an empathetic guy. I feel people, but I am not a victim, i.e. I will feel shit about things, but then I'm like, right, what are the solutions? Let's go. No one was paying for people. No one was paying for pet insurance 20 years ago. No one was paying a load of money just for someone to take their dog out for a walk 20 years ago. There's people in this, I don't know exactly what industry everyone's in, but there's a lot of business models and verticals in your niche that didn't even exist 20 years ago.
No, there is.
And there's people that make a living taking dogs for a walk. Fuck me, what a life. If I don't survive this challenging time, I'm going to go and do that.
It's actually not as easy as you think.
I know, I'm just messing about.
So can I ask then, so that part of your personality that you've mentioned, that like...
It's a choice.
You're a stubborn fucker,
It's a
you're
choice.
this, is how much of that can be learned and how much of that is like intrinsic to somebody and you need that to be able to get past those adversities there?
Okay. Do you have children?
I do.
Okay. Could you be stubborn if your children's lives were in jeopardy?
Yeah.
Of course you could. So people think they don't have the certain skills and traits and talents until it's really important to them, and then they do. So latent within every human being, I believe that every single emotion and every single potential character trait exists in us all. So, you know, when they say, oh, kids in this generation, they're so lazy. No, they're not. They're just not engaged because the teaching isn't good. I hated school, but I loved a certain teacher because he engaged me. So the reality is everyone has the ability to be stubborn, obstinate, confident, relentless, disruptive, persistent, resilient. I like to think of myself in these situations as a rhino, and the head goes down and I scratch my back legs and I just fucking run at it. And I honestly, emotionally, I want to run away because, I've got my upbringing where I experienced certain pain and shame. And the analogy I use when I talk about this is I want to go into the fetal position. I just want to go like this, and I want bosoms to nuzzle in, and I just want someone to love me. But that's just an emotion. And that I can tune into any emotion because I have the ability to, because I'm a human. So every human listening who is of right mind can tap into every trait and every emotion of a human. And you will most likely when it's important to you, and you will least likely when it's not. I always talk about accountability. I mentor millions of people, not all at once, but, over the 18 years and in all the different social media channels and groups I've got, paid and free. And when people have hardcore accountability and no is not an option, and they are prepared to do whatever it takes, they cannot lose. But as soon as they've got excuses, distractions, comforts, it's too easy to go, oh, well, that doesn't matter. Oh, well, that doesn't matter. If anyone listening, their life and death depended on their business, it would be a success, it would be given. And the problem I can imagine at points you have, people get into it and it's a passion. And sometimes, therefore, it's hard to treat it like a business, because some business people need to tune into more passion because they're just a bit corporate and greedy. But then a lot of people start their business for a passion and it's a hobby, and they have to learn sales and marketing and accounting, and they have to deal with complaints and refunds and emotions from owners and all the stuff that, I didn't get into it for this. Well, do you really care about animals or not? Oh, I care about animals, except I only want to do this. I only want to hug them and walk them. I don't want to deal with all these issues. That's not love. So yeah, they're my thoughts.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And I think hearing it so brutally honest, which I love, because it's what we don't talk about enough. As in, not us. We talk about this a lot, but I don't think there's enough public awareness, or nobody's having these big conversations and going, stop having that little pity party that we're doing all the time. It's like, you have a choice. You mentioned investing in mentors. We're always investing in mentors. They are an important, integral part of our wider team. Without them, you can't move forward. And tackling those limiting beliefs, everything always seems to come back down to money and I just can't make it work. Nobody wants to buy. I need to slash my prices in order to get this. I'm not attracting the right client and customer and all of that. And arguably, I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here. Even you with your fuck ton of money, if somebody had come to you and said that they can help you with your dog when he was alive because they could identify a problem, or if you had reached out And if they came across as not confident in their ability with a low price, or even if they'd have hiked it up in just thinking, I'm just going to chance it because I know you've got cash.
Which happens a lot to me, by the way.
I can imagine,
so,
yeah. How do you almost decide on, so if that scenario had played out, how would you actually make the decision on whether or not that particular trainer in that scenario was going to be right for you?
So I'm me and I'm not everyone.
Correct.
So I can't answer for everyone. Everyone buys based on value. Everyone. Because you could buy a £50 Casio watch and it could break in 3 months and you could think you've been ripped off. You could buy a 100-gram Patek Philippe which needs a yearly service and you can think it's great value. So certainly, because I'm like every other human, I want to feel like I get value. That would be one element. I want to feel like the person cares. So we recently had to remove a tree from the front of our garden. It was a big fucking tree, big job. Council, basically compulsory, got to get rid of this tree. Use this person, £2,500. We went and did some research, £2,000. We found someone who did it for 800 quid. And my wife met him and went, he really cares. Because we almost went, 800 sounds too cheap. But we went with him. Yeah, he was cheaper and that helped. But we didn't feel like the council cared, but we felt like he cared. He did a brilliant job. And you know, there's that saying, people don't care what you know till they know that you care. And in an industry like yours, I would want to know that someone cares. And I also wouldn't want to feel like there's emotional, like in pet insurance, I feel like they're crowbarring my emotions. And that doesn't feel ethical to me. So I'd want to feel that I'm not getting my emotions levered. I'd want to feel that they care, and I'd want to feel that there's good value. But if all those are met, I'll pay the premium and I'll pay the top dollar.
And when you say care about what?
Care about my dog. Care to do a really good job.
It's a hard one to almost like bring it to life, isn't it? And go like, how does that? Because we're always...
I think you've done a good job. I think you've got out of me very clearly. Like I would be easy to sell to now.
If people have the right skills.
Well, all they have to do is watch and listen. I can give them a skill right now. Whenever you're selling anything in your industry or any industry, ask, what's most important to you in? Because then you'll get the highest values. You essentially ask me that in a different way. But if you ask someone, what's most important to you in your dog being looked after? Like if someone was trying to find some kennels while they were sending their dog away and someone first said, what's most important to you when you're away on holiday and you leave your dog, they're just going to tell you exactly how to sell to them. As long as you can deliver what they say. It's just, but people, one of my mentors said to me that love, even in sales, because sales is an expression of love. I mean, in your industry is probably one of the best examples of it. Sales is an expression of love. If I care enough about you to understand what you need and then package up what I've got to deliver what you need, that is not selling. That's not manipulation. That's caring. And caring is love. And if you sell your passion, which many people in this industry are, you could then argue that selling is a form of love. And I would definitely agree with that. When I take time to ask good questions and listen to people, they feel more connected to me and they're much more likely to spend more money. So remember, if you said limiting beliefs earlier, it's not hard. Like at the moment, I have got one thing after another breaking. But one thing I'll never say is, oh, that's hard. I'll say, it's another opportunity. I mean, it triggers me. I had a huge fire happen just before I was going into an operations meeting. The emotions have gone now, and I've already had 3 meetings about the problem, and I'm probably quite near to the solution. And it was a big fucking problem, like a £5 million problem. So what am I going to do? I can't, it's hard. Or like any human, go, fuck, because I did do that. Fuck. I mean, I just had my coffee as well. So I was already jacked. And then it was like a hit of caffeine and a hit of fuck. So I just spat on you. A hit of every emotion at the same time. The only thing I didn't get was horny, but every emotion, I was like, ah. And within 3 hours, we're 2/3 of the way to the solution. So it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. And why am I good at this? Because I'm not better than anyone else at this. Well, I don't know. Here's what I know about me. 1, I care about my industry. 2, I care about my reputation. 3, I want to be successful and make money. 4, I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But you'd be the same if something happened to your children. You'd have exactly the same attitude. If something was kicking off at school, you'd clear your diary and you'd get down to the fucking school straight away. And you sort it out. And everything else would become an unpriority. We all have that. Here's the sad thing. We've all got the ability, but we live this numb life where we don't tune into all this amazing resourcefulness. Because honestly, probably in your industry as well, it's probably a bit too much of a hobby, or it's not quite painful enough, or it's, like, I'm at the stage right now where shit is uncomfortable and I'm coming up with some great ideas. And I probably wouldn't if I was comfortable. So I do not subscribe to any belief that a human can't do A, B, and C if it's proven that all humans have that trait. All right, you might be better at sales than me, and I might be better at marketing than you. We're going to have skills that we're better at, but they're learnable if we care. Like, anyone who tells me I can't sell, well, you could as a kid, because kids are the best salespeople ever. I mean, my kids, whenever I get my kids, they're always pitching me for sweets because they know mum says no. And obviously, I'm put between a rock and a hard place because I say yes to the kids and make the kid happy, and I turn my wife against me, and vice versa. And fucking hell, I'm thinking, you should be in my office selling on the phones. You two are genius salespeople. They're 9 and 12, and they've never been on a sales course. So we can all sell. It's just forced out of us through school and society and indoctrinated fear.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I'm not sending my kids to school.
Fuck, do you know what? I actually, if it weren't for my wife, I probably wouldn't. But it's important to her. So, I think life is about trades. You don't fight every battle. Fight the 3 or 4 that are the most important to you. And then be the gift that gives other people their ability to have their wins.
Yeah.
So I admire you greatly for not sending your kids to school, but it's going to heap on you a whole load of other challenges and responsibilities. Obviously, you know that to be the case. So I admire that focus. Pick your battles wisely and only have your principles and never, ever settle on your principles. But anything else, just let it go. Let other people have the joy of... I remember seeing Keanu Reeves, and he says, if someone says 2 + 2 is 5, they are right. Because I don't have the desire or energy to argue with someone at my stage in life. And I take that same attitude. I know that there's interactions I have with other humans and they're wrong and they're acting like a child and it's not productive. But is it a principle of mine? No. Can I be the better person and just let them have that? Yeah. Because life's so much fucking... We're going to have our own battles anyway. So let all the others go. I know that's easy to say, of course, but it served me quite well.
Actually, this is leading on to something I really want to talk to you about, which I really admire you for the way that you just say whatever you think, but you obviously do it in that way that you've just described. So your principles are there and you will stick to them. And when we're talking to our clients about becoming visible, say, getting out on social media, doing lives or, videos of themselves, we always tell people to put a bit of themselves in it so that people get to know them, like them, trust them, all of that. So with you, it's something I really like about you is that you will, I'm quite principled in some ways, but
I must have picked a few scabs on you in the past.
Yeah,
then with some of the things I've said.
You very much have.
Yeah.
And but
isn't it nice that we can still be here and still be friends and not fall out? So just chuck one thing in here quickly, so don't lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
Someone said something to me I thought was so wise, and I completely agree with it. I think wisdom is being able to disagree and still be friends.
Yeah.
I can learn a lot from you. You can probably learn a bit from me. So if I can control my emotions when you say something I don't agree with and actually think, ooh, you might be right about that, even though that hurt, that's wisdom. Why do we all have to hate everyone who disagrees with us? Surely that's what children do.
Yeah. Well, this is another thing in our industry.
It's
People
very petty
really struggle with somebody with a different opinion, and they have to voice it behind a keyboard, and you get all of that stuff. But
sorry to interrupt.
No. What I wanted to say though is that you are quite the extreme, maybe in some people's opinions. In some people's opinions, you might be. You're a bit Marmite. People love you, or they're not so keen. But
put it politely,
we're trying to do is tell, sort of help people understand that if you show a bit of you, then people will get to know you and like you and stuff. So first of all, what advice would you give to somebody that we're trying to give this advice to them and say, look, it's not a bad thing to show your opinions to a point. And also, how did you get to the point where you're able to just say exactly what you want and feel without that fear of judgment?
Yeah. So I love talking about this.
I know.
I knew you would.
Because, certainly my public speeches generally tend to greatly upset a few, but certainly, at the very least, everyone's rolling around laughing for most of the time, even if they don't like me. And it did take some shedding layers of fear over time to be able to lean into my own skin. So when I stand on a stage, my goal is 1, to be remembered. 2, to educate / inspire. And 3, to lift up the energy. Because to me, there's nothing worse than going to a seminar or an event and it's a death by 1,000 cuts. And someone can be very informative and wise, but no energy, and the information doesn't land. So I often go on when someone's just killed the room, and I'm very good at killing it in my own way. And that takes a bit of rebellion and disruption. There's many ways to do it, and I have my own style. So I want to be remembered, I want to educate and inspire, and I want to lift the energy. Because no one's going to do anything with low energy. If I sat here giving you loads of good information and just talking to you in a monotone voice for a whole hour, but everything I said was really powerful and wise, in the end, you just want to go and jump off the local town bridge, which I can take you to if you want. And so many people, their intention is to educate, but it's so fucking dry, it doesn't work. So they're my 3 aims. And then I suppose there's that cheeky, disruptive part of me behind the scenes, which says, I'm just going to take a few risks here, and I'm just going to say a couple of things I probably shouldn't, and fuck it, let's have a little go. Because that's what I was like at school, thinking about pinging elastic bands at girls. Shouldn't have done that, but fucking did it. Shouldn't put pins on the seats so that when the girls sit on the seats, they screech. But I really enjoyed
one of
that.
them.
I'm one of those little fuckers. So I'm actually honouring who I am, but I shed the layers of fear and judgment and ridicule. Because if you go to a speech, if you go to an event like Expert Empires, for example, or those kind of events, there will be speakers you'll forget. but you won't forget me. But you might not like me.
This is true.
But those, I know it's true. You know, thank you for the appreciation, but I just know this to be true. And yeah. So do I want to be the person that no one remembers? Because think about it. It's naive and maybe even arrogant to think that everyone can love you and no one will hate you. That's actually, it's naive at best and arrogant at worst. And if you look at the world right now, if you're a diehard fan of X, you're probably a diehard hater of Y, because we're quite polarized. So if you're vanilla, no one will remember you. If you bring your personality, because I don't believe in personal brands, I believe in personality brands. You're here calling me Marmite. Well, people remember Marmite. So isn't it best to be in the discussion? Because by the way, my haters are my best marketers. Because the thing is, if you like me, you'll like me anyway. And if someone goes, oh, Rob, wow, 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 you go, yeah, well, yeah, you're right about that now. But you probably won't change your opinion. And if you see me yourself, you make your own opinion, because people aren't that stupid. The odd person is. But if someone's going to get their opinion changed about me just from what someone else says, they're not a person for me anyway. So I know it's much better for my business for me to inject my personality into my brand, into my lives, into my live events, into these podcasts. And people are always saying, well, Rob, you take risks, you're disruptive, you're all the words you use. I just don't see it that way. I just feel like we're here having a good conversation. I'm having fun. I'm lifting the energy. So I don't even see it as a thing, but I do have those three intentions.
It's very important, the intentions. How do you find those intentions and everything that you've done to date has affected your relationship with your wife and your kids?
So despite being very clear in my mission, I beat myself up all the time. And I now know it's necessary for success. Because if I wasn't able to self-analyze, I would be on a car crash somewhere, especially a personality like mine, who takes some risks. So when you asked me that question, I didn't really understand it, but where I started going was, maybe I haven't been as present enough with the kids, and maybe I've been too obsessed about work for my wife. And it went to that place, as opposed to how I've been a great example to my kids, as opposed to have given my wife a great life, which are also true. But the journey, the relationship anyone has with me is not a straight, long road in the Nevada desert doing the speed limit. It's the fucking roller coaster once you get to Las Vegas. That is what it is. That is me. That is me in my heart. That is me in my mind. I'm a passionate guy. I love hard. I depress hard. That is what I am. I'm bullish and confident, and then inside I'm slapping myself silly. That is me. And I'm going to go insane trying to drive down the road at the 50 mile an hour speed limit where you can't even see past the horizon. I need to get on the fucking roller coaster. And if you're with me, jump in, because you're going to have a fucking amazing, exciting journey. But, you're going to leave your stomach up there at times. That is me. And that is the best parts of me. It's also the greatest failings of me. But the best part of everyone, if someone who's careful and considered and analytical and practical, that can be so good when you're planning your pension over the next 30 years or you're managing your finances. But put someone like that in the marketing department, or a head of brand, or the head of designing a fashion business, that person dies. So it's the hardest thing to say, but you said the word lean in. Lean into being yourself and don't be fucking scared to show people who you really are. But that's probably the hardest thing in life, isn't it? I was having a conversation with someone she's dating someone at the moment, and she keeps holding herself back from falling in love with him. And I'm like, what are you doing? Because, I'm scared I might get hurt. Well, you might or you might not, but surely you've got the best chance if you just love hard. Surely. Like, you're never going to taste what love really is if you don't go all in. And what does protecting yourself do? So I suppose that'll be how I would live life. I'm not telling people to do that. And you use the word advice. I'm not giving any advice on your show, just telling you how I'm living my life. But if you had a lethal injection for me and you had to administer it, I could honestly say I fucking love my life. Like, I've had a great life, even if it was the end. And that's a pretty cool thing to be able to say.
That is a really cool thing. There aren't many people that could say that, I don't think.
No. And it's I wanted to go there because we all do it, don't we? Like, living in the entrepreneur world that we do, we go all in on trying to make the business work. And it's almost like you set that goal. And I think you mentioned earlier, like, you set that goal, you achieve it, then there's another fucking problem, then you do this, and it just keeps going. But the bigger the business problems get,
the bigger the problems get.
The bigger the whole problems get.
If you want a guarantee, there's one.
And but it impacts everything, doesn't it? And I think I don't know if it's fair to say, but like, certainly we've had that journey where you have those moments with your partners, your husbands, your wives, whatever it is. Being that business owner, it does fuck up that dynamic a little bit because you are in the headset of, I need to do work. And then you're on that journey of personal growth and self-development, and you're going all in. And sometimes some people get left behind.
Yeah. So my wife, very early on, because like, dating with me is intense because you get an absolute grilling for about 3 months. I want to know everything. And I'm pretty good at getting the information out of people. So, and that's from my childhood fears. I'm fully aware of where it comes from. And, you know, one of the things my wife said to me really early, she said, one of my most attractive qualities was my ambition. That's what she said. So, you know, the late nights alone, or, you know, the up and down journey of being an entrepreneur are the downsides to her loving my ambition. So we are a different breed as an entrepreneur than the person who's happy to live life. It's generally people who you go to work and do it for 40 years and get a pension. By the way, I don't look down on that at all. That's just, you know, I employ lots of those people and they're very useful. But they live within a bandwidth frequency range that's that. Entrepreneurs live in a bandwidth frequency range that's that. Some people want that. Some people don't. So, you know, love is accepting all sides. But here's what a lot of entrepreneurs do, and I need to challenge them on this. You can put yourself in the position to go, well, I'm an entrepreneur, and you knew it from the start. So, you know, you've just got to accept that I am ABC. That's not how a relationship works. What about what they need? Are you prepared to love them, all their downsides as well? Because too many people are like, well, they won't support me on my journey. So, and that's not love. But they've got to want you to win. And a lot of people get triggered when you become successful or you're trying to become successful, because what it does is it picks their own wounds of where maybe they tried to or wanted to be and they sold out that dream. And you have to be careful that that's not your life partner. Fair enough if they're not the same as you, but surely they have to be a champion for you. But also, if you can't take real honesty from your partner, who can you take it from? And, you know, John DeMartini, another person I find very wise, he says, if you puff yourself up, your wife will humble you at home. And it's fucking true. But if it's really hard out in the world and you're doing your best, you come home and your wife will puff you up and lift you up. And that's fucking true. My wife can humble and humiliate me just like that. But if it's hard, she's a brilliant support. And I used to hide that it was hard from her because I want to be the man. I don't do that anymore. because I get the supportive side of her when I show her the real me. So I have a part to play in how she is with me. But we all need humbleizing when we get arrogant and cocky. Because it doesn't serve us.
It does not indeed. And I feel like I could talk to you for hours and
Can I
hours
ask you
and
a
hours.
question?
Of course you can.
Do you have any plan of what questions you want to ask? Or do you just sit here and roll?
Sit here and roll.
Wrong.
Do you plan anything?
Nope.
You don't plan any questions?
You can ask
I
Ryan.
have an idea.
Oh, no, I believe you. I don't need to go and get evidence.
No.
Why not? I'm not saying you should.
I have an idea of topics.
What was your idea of topics then?
Topics today were...
Did we cover them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were?
Limiting beliefs, bit of money mindset, and I didn't expect to go into this relationship bit, but picking up on some of the things you were saying, it felt appropriate to go there.
Okay.
Why?
Well, why am I asking you? Why? Because I'm fascinated. Okay. Yeah. Because I couldn't work out if you're just rolling with it or you had some planned questions.
Do we look like we're
Is that a bad thing?
strategic?
No, it's going to say you're a fucking shit now.
There's no judgment. There's only curiosity. I have a very set, prepared type of questions. And then within those, I allow it to go where it goes. But you're both very calm and assured. And so, yeah, I didn't quite get the read on whether you got your questions answered. I also know I can talk a lot. So I can give you 5 more minutes if there's anything else you wanted to ask.
Don't even know now. It was don't know.
I want to ask you something.
Go on.
Is it hard work being you?
Well, the honest answer is I don't know because I've never been anyone else.
That is a good answer.
So
It's a poor question and a good
no,
answer.
it's not. It's actually not a poor question because I try and practice being as objective as I can because I have the belief that if I'm objective, I'm going to make better decisions. Not always, because sometimes you're emotional and you make a good decision, but sometimes you're emotional and you make a bad decision. And I believe, like, if I know how the universe works objectively, then I can saddle it up and ride it. Whereas if I'm fighting against the universe, I'm always going to lose, aren't I? Because the laws of nature are far more powerful than the laws of Rob. So I always try and look at what's an object. So the objective answer is I don't know how hard it is to be anyone else, so I can't compare. At times, I feel like I've not chosen the easy path, but I know me, and if I'd chosen the easy path, I'd fucking hate it. So put me on the easy path, the pain would just be later. And so I know I had to choose this life. And I know I'm living the life I'm meant to live. And if I think about people who've lost their children in wars, or people who've been human trafficked, or people who are in the developing world and have to walk 10 miles for water, it must be so much harder being them, I would think. Although maybe they'd be better at gratitude than me because they would probably appreciate the finer things in life. I don't know. It'd be really fascinating. I would love to be my wife for a day. I would love to. I mean, I probably wouldn't love to because all the things she really thought about me, I'd find out. So actually, I'm pretty fit. I'm pretty healthy. I'm not bad looking. Fuck you, rich. I've got high quality problems. So actually, I'd probably say on reflection, it's probably easier to be me than it is other people. I feel shame and pain viscerally all over my body at times, but I think every human feels that. I don't like that feeling, but no one gets away without not feeling shit. So I probably don't feel that much. Like the worst feeling for me is shame, but it's the most motivating emotion for me to crack on and get shit done. So I find that hard, but no, it's probably not that hard. I mean, I'm quite simple.
I think a lot of us are really. We just overcomplicate ourselves all the time, don't we? Too many labels out there to live up to, leaning on, identify as something, and just own that persona around it. I see a lot at the moment of people going, I want to exit from the business, so I'm in it, but I don't want to be doing that delivery bit anymore, so I need to get out. And it's almost like that's all they can focus on. That's all they are doing. So their persona, they're owning that, oh, okay, I'm going to exit. And it's almost like we're trying to put a Band-Aid then on the business.
When people say I want to exit and get out of the delivery, what that often means is I want to get out of the responsibility of doing the bits I don't like. Sorry, not how life works. You don't get to only do the bits you like in parenting. Now, can you delegate? Yes. Can you write systems? Yes. Can you use that as a motivator to build a sustainable and scalable business? Yes, you can. But you got to be realistic and practical. You don't get all the upside and none of the downside. And here's what will happen. If you go, I don't want any of the delivery, the universe will cause a load of shit in your delivery systems. Anything you disown, it will keep forcing. Like, when people say, for example, I seem to have the same kind of problems with my relationships over and over and over. I attract the same kind of man. Yeah, people say that all the time. Yeah, because you didn't learn the fucking lesson. So the universe is giving you the gift of the same problem so that you'll finally learn the lesson, but you don't see it as a gift. So don't run away from your problems, run into them. Because the best way to get rid of the delivery is to get really fucking good at delivery. So people are sometimes a bit, I just want a passion business. I just want to be able to do this and this. Just want to be able to take the dogs out for a walk and, a bit of laugh.
Just like that in that voice.
Yeah. And no, that's not, the universe will keep giving you the parts you've disowned. That being said, you can hire people and outsource and delegate for the areas where you're not inspired so you can spend more time on the things that you're inspired by. But you've got to be inspired by your challenges as well as the bits that are easy.
Yeah. I like it. I think we've lent into that a lot, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're in it. Let's run towards it. And look where we are now.
Yeah. Look where you are now. In this epic studio, kicking ass.
Yeah.
Right. Secretly, I want to know, right? Because you all talk and you all know. I want to know the main good thing they say about Rob and then the main bad thing they say about Rob.
Who's they?
They, those people at the events who talk after my gigs and those people who are in all the circles and all talk, the people who talk about Rob's Marmite. I want to know. Lay it out. And be honest. And the thing is, you guys are nice, but sometimes being nice is being honest, not just being nice.
Oh, no, I can be honest. I'm trying to think last time I saw you speak. It was
November.
Oh, wasn't it? I forgot that one. Summit. That's how we ended up
here. And we signed up to this.
There you go. For
you, though, what was I can't even remember what we was hearing because we love you. Like, you're totally up my street. I love it. The one thing that really cracked me up, my husband Darren, who came to one of the progressive events, he's like, I feel like I'm a bit like Rob Moore. I literally spat my water out his face going, you're fucking nothing like Rob Moore, mate. Don't know where you got that from. What do they say?
So did you just say I'm Marmite just because that's a reputational thing, but
no,
not really?
It's a reputational thing.
No, but you do see it on social media, but I'm just like,
I suppose I didn't really think about it at the recent one. I noticed it more at the Expert Empires one because I think they attract a very, the Moneymaker was your thing, whereas Expert Empires isn't your thing. You're guesting.
Different tribe.
I think I've seen you speak there twice and both times got a different... Were you there when Denise Duffield-Thomas was there?
Can't remember.
If it was that one, that was a weird event and the murmurs around was because she attracted her audience, which didn't like Nick's audience, and that was a whole big thing. Yeah. And a lot of those, if you were at that one, which I think it was, there was a lot of people not liking you at that one for being brash and outspoken. But then at the other one where it was more Nick's audience, let's say, loved it.
Mm. Well, thank you. And that is surely the best advert to everyone watching and listening to just fucking be yourself. Because you can't control who comes in the audience, can you? And sometimes the audience will love you and sometimes they won't. All right, cool. I've got a meeting in 2 minutes.
You need to go.
Thanks for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming on it.
Always a pleasure, never a chore.